All right, everybody. Welcome back. Purple Friday Show, episode 234. Ravens dominating win over the Giants. Look, I don't think there was much to be taken from this game. The fact that this was the get right game. We needed to see the offense, like we said, win by 3 scores. Like if they don't win by 3 scores, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did get off to a slow start in the beginning of the game. They went down the field. They ran down the field. Lamar gets the ball and he fumbles the ball right on the first drive, and it's like, oh, here we go. And then I think the second drive they ended up having the punt. So it was like, oh, come on, let's go. And then they finally got rolling. Running game looked good. Lamar was very confident throwing the football. He didn't hesitate much once he got locked in. We saw him run for, was it 60 yards, over 60 yards rushing. There was that one play where he was holding his pants up while juking people, which is only something Lamar could do.
Right.
He said he felt like his tights. He said what he said was
felt the wind. Yeah,
he felt the wind on his butt. And he's like, "That ain't right. And he tried to hold his pants up. So I guess he had to get some more elastic or more string or something to tie that up. So, But like again, yeah, he was. He looked good in the game. Looked very, confident in the game throwing the football. Great to see Rashad Bateman, get 2 really good touchdown catches. Looked like they were definitely gelling. We'll get to obviously the Steelers game. So the disparaging news obviously today about Rashad Bateman, but they looked good there. Glad to see Deontay Walker finally get out there. I don't know how many snaps he played in the game, but obviously he did score that touchdown. Nice toe drag at the back of the end zone. So, hoping, considering the wide receiver situation going into Saturday, I think we'll definitely see a lot more Tez Walker in this game. But they also said, Monken and them have said, look, this guy's been working like all year since he got drafted, and he earned his way on the field. So obviously with Deontay Johnson situation allows, a lot of times we look at situations like this where guys either not playing or get hurt or whatever. It's always an opportunity for somebody else to step up. So
right.
And look, we said in preseason that we were expecting Deontay to make an impact on this team, maybe a little bit earlier, than week 15. But, It is what it is. If it happens now and he becomes that X factor for the Ravens in the Steelers game, then great. Defensive side of the ball, they looked okay. I mean, they did okay considering, they did fine. They're playing the Giants offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Tommy DeVito ended up having to lead the game. Did he get hurt? I don't know if he got concussed or something.
Yeah, I think he got concussed.
Yeah, so he ended up leaving the game, and they had to basically start their 4th-string quarterback in that game. But the penalties, man. They had 12 penalties for 100 and something yards. Broke their season record this year of the most penalties committed.
Not good.
They can't. They just can't seem to. If you look back at, I think I look back at all 22. Both of the Giants' touchdowns were scored because the Ravens' defense would not get off the field. They were on 3rd and longs or whatever. The Ravens would make a good play on defense, but it came back because there was a holding penalty or a defensive pass interference penalty or a legal face mask, like something. It was always something, and it just led the Giants go down the field and then scoring 2 touchdowns. That late one was being a trash touchdown, but they scored 2 touchdowns pretty much off of Ravens penalties. And here we are in week 15. Thought this was, cleaned up kind of after that Eagles game. Got worse.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's now no longer a bug anymore with this team. It's the feature, right? They're just going to commit penalties. They just kind of have to hope that you really now just kind of have to hope or wing and a prayer for this Ravens defense that they can just get takeaways. I said that weeks ago that this Ravens defense, in order for them to get off the field now, they can't even be 3 and outs because they're getting so many penalties now on 3rd down. And the only way they're going to really get the ball back now is getting takeaways, forcing fumbles, getting interceptions. So that's all pretty much took from this game. Derrick Henry looked okay. They didn't run them too much. I mean, the game was pretty much over by the 3rd quarter.
Yeah.
But we did see, was it Rasheen Ali?
Rasheen Ali, yep.
Rasheen Ali sighting. I think he got like 2 or 3 carries at the end of the game. Didn't look explosive a lot, but
look better closing out the game than we have in previous wins.
Yeah, I'm like they needed to have, I would like to see him be utilized more, just wearing down Derrick Henry at this point. And it was nice to see Justice Hill get back involved into the screen game. We see how deadly that is. Like getting Justice Hill involved in that screen game is just like his explosion is just like remarkable considering, he had that Achilles injury a couple of years ago.
It's crazy.
He didn't lose any speed. So, but it also tells me too that maybe Keaton Mitchell, I don't know with him. The fact that Rasheen Ali saw the field on offense before he did as a running back, I don't know. I think we said in the group thing, I hope the Ravens didn't ruin him. I don't know what his surgery and recovery was been like, but apparently it's not good enough to the point where he can't even get carries at this point. So, but again, that's all I took from the game. The penalties obviously for defense to clean it up, but I think it was nice. It was good for Lamar. I think the best thing was to see Lamar confident throwing the football, not hesitating, because I think the last couple weeks before the bye week, he was hesitating a lot, didn't know what he wanted to do, but he looked a lot more confident. When he decided to go, he went. When he was like, I'm going through football, he threw the football. So making the decisions there and deciding to go. So Mama Jackson, thank you for yelling at your son, getting it and just getting in his head. Like, look, tell him, like, be who you are, man. Be all you are, son. Like, don't forget about the narratives, forget about all that stuff. Just go play football. So I'm glad she did that.
Yeah, agreed, man. I think it was a good game. I mean, it's really hard to critique your team when they're going up against a team like the Giants, because obviously, the Giants are who they are this season, and it's just kind of a hard point of reference when you're trying to evaluate, the offense and the defense. But I mean, it's still a good thing because one, the Ravens, what we've been notorious for has always been like playing down to competition, which we've noticed has been an issue for us in the past. And which is one of those things where it's like you just can never overlook a team in the league, but the Ravens even more so, just because these things happen for whatever reason throughout the season sometimes. So it was good to see that, they beat this team the way they were supposed to. I think, outside of that Lamar fumble, this is probably going to be a 40-point game. So, I mean, with that first drive, they were kind of going right down the field on them. And then, we had the fumble. But outside of that, man, Lamar was clicking on all cylinders. He looked calm, comfortable in the pocket. He was in rhythm. He had more touchdown passes in 5 than incompletions with 4. That's just as accurate as you can probably be with the football. He was taking care of the football outside of that fumble, and he was spreading the ball around and getting everybody involved. And you made a good point about Justice Hill just being just super electrifying for us this year. And he kind of like went away for a little bit, like through this last few weeks. And we were kind of like, okay, well, where's Justice Hill? I mean, he was explosive on these wheel routes. He was explosive in the screen game, and we didn't see that. It was good to see them get back into that mode, get back into the screen game and get him involved. We saw him catch, I think it might have been Lamar's 5th touchdown pass, 4th or 5th, where he just kind of, it was just a dump off pass outlet. He saw Justice Hill on the sideline and he threw a super low pass, and Justice Hill made a tremendous catch. And as soon as he caught it and brought it up to his body, he just full speed ahead and just nobody could catch him. So good to see. And Rashad Bateman, what a game. I mean, for him to have a dominant game like that, I think that's his first multiple touchdown game performance he's had in his career. So that's, a very, very big up boost for him and his confidence. And going forward in the season, unfortunately, like you said, we got, seems like some bad news. We'll continue to monitor that and see what happens. But, just a terrible time just coming off a game like that. You would have loved to see him build off that momentum. But he had a great game. Andrews looked good. And, like I said, the offense just looked incredible, clicking on all cylinders. They did what they were supposed to do against a bad football team. And, we saw something that we didn't see in a while. We got to sit Lamar down early, and we got to, I was about to say get out of there healthy, but, clearly we didn't. Actually, I think we did get out of there healthy. Whatever happened to Bateman, I think it happened in practice. But like I said, we'll talk about that later. So, yeah, we did what we came to do. Defensively, it was okay. Honestly, I didn't. It's really, really difficult to evaluate the defense against this team because that offense is super bad, like real bad. And going against DeVito, and then like you said, he goes out, and we bring in a 4th-string quarterback. I mean, this is a scout team at this point, so it's really not we can't really see, what it is. But defensively, even though it's hard to evaluate, I think we just kind of, just got to take it for what it is. I think one thing with one issue that I am concerned about is Brandon Stevens. He did not look good in that game. I mean, I do understand, you got Malik Neighbors and you do got some weapons, even though the team offense is not really that good. He just didn't look bad. He just looks like he's in no man's land. When the ball's in the air, he just has really, really a lot of trouble locating the football, and for whatever reason. And the fact that he couldn't locate the football in this game and he was just drawing all of these penalties and just constantly out of position, that was a takeaway that I saw that did not look so good, and I did not feel so confident in going forward. Brandon Stevens got to figure that out on that side. In the meantime, I know we're not talking about the Steelers yet, but we're going to have to figure out, something else. I mean, for the Steelers game, you might be okay because I don't think Pickens is playing. But like I said, we'll get into that later. But Brandon Stevens was probably the only negative in this game that I saw. Hopefully, this Keaton Mitchell thing back on offense, hopefully that's just maybe they're just saving him for something special. I don't know. It doesn't look like it, but it remains to be seen. And shout out to John Harbaugh, I guess, because they're saying that he created that Tez Walker play. I mean, that's what they said. I mean, the play was called Harbaugh, and they did confirm. I saw a confirmation of that from Jameson. Was it Hensley? On Twitter, he confirmed that this was a play drawn up by John Harbaugh, and if that's the case, shout out to him. I mean, whatever. If that's his only play and he's going to touchdown, I'll take it. But yeah, not too much to take away from this game. They did what they were supposed to do, but that in itself is a win. That's a win for us because we don't always do that against bad teams.
No, especially this season, right? Like last season, we didn't see it as much. Like the Ravens pretty much dominated a lot of bad teams, but this year they have seemed to struggle. And I'll say with that, Harbaugh drawing up that play, that's like putting like a writer's credit on somebody that adds like one word to a song. You get a writer's credit technically because you added something to the song. That don't mean you're actually like constructed the entire thing. So I'm like, maybe he was like, Munkin. They probably drilled the play like, Munkin, who do you think we should throw to? This one right here. That's Walker. Okay, yeah, throw it to him. The touchdown. Mm-hmm. That's probably what that was. Yeah, that's probably what that was. Yeah, and also, I'm glad. Look, I think they said it's the first Ravens win in the Giant Stadium since like 1997 and 98. Apparently, we haven't beat the Jets or the Giants at home in like a long time. Like it's been a long time. Apparently,
I'm surprised about the Jets.
Yeah, no, not me the Jets. I remember that Ray Lewis.
Yeah, when
Ray Lewis hit that line, that tight end across the middle.
I think was that Kellen Winslow? Kellen Winslow or
Winslow Jr. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we won that game. But I think the Giants. Yeah, I think for the Giants, we hadn't beaten them in New York in a long time, which I didn't realize. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'll give you only play every 4 years.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. The only time we would really meet them in the playoffs would be for the Super Bowl. So I get it, I guess. But no, yeah, it's again, it was the game. What I wanted to see was make sure Lamar was confident in what he was doing, and he was. They got the ball to Zay Flowers, they got the ball to Mark Andrews. Still didn't really see Likely that much. I think Aguilar got a couple catches as well. But for the look, defense is going to be important in the Steelers game. Like they can't. The penalties are going to kill this team. They got to figure it out. And a lot of it is correctable. That's the one thing about all this. And I think Nnamdi too. He has the most, like for the Ravens. He constantly now, I've seen all season, gets those like elite, when he's like trying to rush the quarterback, constantly has his hands up in the quarterback's face mask, and they're going to call that every time. He's been called like that at least 5 times this year, where he's just putting his hand up there. Like you got to do a better job of like gauging where he is, and just grab for the jersey. Just grab the jersey. Stop trying to grab up here or whatever like that. Leave Brent Urban. If Brent Urban's in there, let him be the one to knock footballs down. which I think he did in that game. I think he did that in
he
the
got a
Rams
couple
game.
tips. Yeah.
So I think they really need to consider Brent Urban and more in those passing downs, for sure. Especially if Russell Wilson's going to throw this stuff over the middle, or whatever. Without Pickens being in the game, I think anticipate a lot more stuff being underneath or over the middle, and the Brent Urban might be crucial in that sense.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Week 15 around the NFL, which was we had some good games this week.
Yeah, real good.
We had
games.
some really good games this week compared to last week.
That Bills Lions game, man.
Man, yeah, they were just going back and forth, man. They were going back and forth. I guess we can start there with the Bills and Lions. 48-42. Look, Josh Allen is on a tear right now. Like I think they said he scored 11 touchdowns. He's thrown 0 interceptions, and he's had 0 negative plays outside of a kneel down to end the football game. Counts for -1 yard. That's it. That's all he's had in the last 3 games. He's been on a tear. He's been running around. James Cook and that offense looked really good. One thing I will say, about the Bills is that they are letting people score on them, though. Like, I don't know how long that's going to last. You keep letting people score 35 plus on you. Yeah, you can score. If you got to score 50 every game, at some point that's not going to work. So that's got to. I don't know how they're going to fix that. But the Lions on the other side, we've seen now the injuries that they got like 13, 14 guys now. I think on one side of the ball. On injured reserve. And then they lost Carlton Davis, their starting cornerback. They lost another
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery's out for the season. Now, apparently he's going to go see a third doctor for opinion. I think they said basically it sounded like the first doctor was like, no, you need surgery. The other doctor was like, nah, maybe some rehab, you'll be fine. So I think the third doctor's going to tip the scales there and sees what. I don't think he plays for the rest of the season, the rest of the regular season. Definitely don't think that. Yeah. But losing him, it kind of takes away that tandem. People are like, oh, they still have Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, yeah, but there's a reason why the Sonic and Knuckles thing worked. There's a reason why that worked. And if they're just focused, if Jahmyr Gibbs is literally just a home run hitter, you don't have that guy that can get you those 3-4 yards every play, 4 or 5 yards every play that wears the defense down over time and allow Jahmyr Gibbs to just break those 30-yard, 40-yard runs down the field later in the game. So, look, still got Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown doing his thing, Laporta. So they still got a capable offense, but again, their defense is just so banged up. I think the last time a team went to the Super Bowl that was this banged up on defense was the Packers when they played the Steelers, I think in 2010. That was the last time. They had like 10, 11 guys on injured reserve, but they ended up still winning the Super Bowl. So it's still possible. But with the NFC right now and how tight it is with the Vikings, with the Packers, the Rams, these other teams like the Eagles. Yeah, I don't know. It could be wet war of attrition thing for the Lions, but it was a hell of a football game. Yeah, it was great to see.
Yeah, it was that was. I mean, 48-42. I think that was probably the highest scoring game this year. Just period. And it lived up to the bill. I mean, Josh Allen has been on a tear. Like he's really, really trying to get this MVP. And it helps when you got a nice little running game too. I mean, James Cook has been on fire as well. I mean, he's been getting over 100 yards, a couple of scores himself. And Josh Allen's just been spreading the ball. I mean, he's been spreading the ball to everybody on that team. They got so many different weapons between, Ty Johnson, Keon Coleman, Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, Bray David, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. Like, look, it's like an all-star team over there. Like, they literally have just weapons all over the place. And that, when you got that type of supporting cast, those are the numbers it's going to equate to. And with Detroit, I mean, Detroit is still a very, very scary offense. Like I said, losing David Montgomery is big because, I mean, those are really the only 2 guys that run the ball at all is Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So now that you lose one of them, it's not as, it's not like, okay, Jahmyr Gibbs can pick up all the slack because he's not going to be able to be on the field on every snap. So they're going to have to go and find somebody else. I mean, their play calling has been really, really creative, and they found ways to, switch up the run game and turn make like a short passing game into an extension of the run and things like that. But it's gonna hurt, and also the injuries on defense are even more important because their defense hasn't been able to stop a lick either. So yeah, it's getting real spooky for Detroit. I mean, they only have 2 losses, but there's no telling what this could amount, could snowball into down the line when it comes to playoffs and things like that. But yeah, hell of a game. Now, not really much more to say. Just a lot of fireworks in this one. I enjoyed it. And yeah, I guess we just got to look forward to the media glazing Josh Allen for the next several weeks again.
Yeah, I mean, they're watching the shows this morning, and they basically have already said, even with 3 games left, with Lamar facing a tougher schedule, he's got Steelers this Saturday, he's got the Texans coming up, and the Browns. Meanwhile, the Bills got the Jets. Was it Jets, Patriots, Jets, something like that?
Yeah.
Like it's like I think at some point the Jets are going to sit Aaron Rodgers at some point. They're going to sit him at some point. They don't want to get him hurt if he comes back next season.
Yeah.
So they really have nothing else to do. But Lamar, look again. This is Lamar will change a lot of minds if he goes out there Saturday and plays like plays like himself.
Yeah,
he plays like himself, right? So he'll change a lot of narratives if he's able to go out there and do that. Another game to look at: the Broncos beat the Colts 31-13. Look, man, the Broncos, since they lost to us, they've been figuring it out. They've been figuring out that defense for the Broncos is making things happen. That linebacker they got there, I can't remember his name now. That linebacker they got for the Broncos.
Who is it? I can't remember his name either. Kobe. No. I can't remember which one. It wasn't Brandon. No, Brandon Jones is the DB, I think.
Nick Bonito, I bet.
Nick Bonito. Okay.
Yeah, that's his second pick 6 now in 2 weeks. So
yeah.
Obviously,
they've been balling, man.
That bad pass by Adonai Mitchell, where he's like he gets the football on the flea flicker or whatever. He turns the laces around, literally takes his time, and then throws backward. Towards it. One of the it looked like a Tyler Huntley kind of throw. It was slow.
Yeah.
That ball was slow, and then Nick Bonito just ran that thing in for a pick 6, man. So
yeah, it wasn't really great quarterback play from either side. One defense just played a lot better than the other one. Because Bo Nix still had 3 picks. He had 3 TDs, but he had 3 picks. And I think Anthony Richardson on the other side, I think he had 2 picks and no TDs.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great QB play. It wasn't, and Denver did do this pretty much without running the ball at all. They had no run game. They had a total of 72 yards. That was split between 5 people. So they didn't really have a rushing attack, and for them to put up 31 points without that, obviously the defense was giving them short fields and the turnovers and things like that. So yeah, they figured it out though. They went in the way they're supposed to win.
Sean Payton's got him. Look, I give credit to Sean Payton. I think a lot of us had our doubts going into the season, especially I know watching Bo Nix when he was at Auburn before he went to Oregon, and he was not that good. And look, I'm not saying he's good now, but at least Sean Payton is getting out of him what he can get out of him right now this year. Maybe next year he gets better, but they're doing well enough where now if he stops turning the ball over, this team would look a lot better. But that's going to be a team to watch. The Broncos, especially with that defense, they play well in the cold. That's going to be a team to watch. Come playoff time, they definitely make some noise in the playoffs. The Chiefs go ahead and beat the Browns 21-7. Obviously, in that game, Patrick Mahomes suffers an high ankle sprain. I feel like it's like clockwork now. Like this time of year, Pat Mahomes gets some kind of lower, like a foot injury or ankle injury that he has to either leave a game or he has to miss a game where the backup quarterback comes in for one drive and they still win the football. It's like every year this happens. Around this time, he gets some kind of sprain and whatever. But they already said he's going to play. He's not even on the injury report.
Good, because don't be getting hurt when y'all got to play the Steelers next week. Don't be getting hurt now. We need you out there.
It's not, and plus it's not all the number 1 seed for the Chiefs is not locked up yet. The Bills, I think if the Chiefs lose one, I think if they lose one of the next 3, depending on the game, I'm not sure which one it is, but the Bills win all 3 of theirs. The Bills can take the number 1 seed from the Chiefs.
Yeah. So I think it's 2 losses to 3.
Yeah,
and Chiefs have.
So it's they can't. It's not one of those situations.
No, it's 3 losses to 1. I'm sorry, Chiefs still only won that. Lost that one game.
Okay, so if they lose 2 out of the next 3 and the Bills win all 3 of theirs, then the Bills would probably get that W. Get the number 1 seed. So it's not all locked up. So they still have to continue to play. for them. So that'll be interesting to see. I did hear that it looks like Hollywood Brown will be activated. I think he's coming back just in
Arizona.
time for the playoffs.
For the
Not
Chiefs.
for
I'm sorry.
the Chiefs.
That's
Chiefs
what I
now.
meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just hasn't played. I don't think I think
Yeah,
he played one
he's
game.
been.
He's
Yeah.
played one game, I think, for the Chiefs. So I think
Man.
apparently he'll be back. I think
Andy Reid,
he'll be
man.
back.
Andy Reid be doing this on purpose, man. He's
He's
just
like
putting
it's
them
like
on
the
ice, so we need
Belichick.
you.
Belichick used to do the same stuff. Like, we're gonna let you play. You're not gonna play all season, but we need you to play in the last 3 weeks of the season and the playoffs. So you're gonna play. You're gonna legit play like 6 games. That's
gonna be a nice little missing piece they can add just to help them spread the field and what they already have. So,
but look, I don't know if that's gonna help much. Like, Mahomes has been getting attacked this year. Like, he's been hit a lot. This is the most I think he's been hit in his entire career. He's been holding up for as long as he can. And luckily, he only has a foot injury. I think by now he would have ribs or something. Especially that play where he injured his ankle. Where he got contorted. I was like, he don't have anything else wrong with him. I'm like, gee,
didn't look good.
Yeah. So they get the W there in that game. Then we'll look at the Eagles and the Steelers. Another good game. It was a good physical game, East Coast game. Kind of wish this the way the Ravens would have played the Steelers. But they kind of gave the formula. I think the outside of that, I think they turned the ball over. TJ Watt obviously did the peanut punch, knocked the ball out of one of those drives where I think it was Saquon or Jalen Hurts. Can't remember which one. I think it was Jalen. Knocked the ball out there, and then changed
it was Jalen Hurts.
Times. So and then Najee Harris had a fumble as well from him.
Awful fumble. Changed the whole course of the game.
Yeah,
they had 56 yards rushing. The Steelers game.
Yeah. Like, I don't know where Jalen Warren was. I'm pretty sure. I think Warren was healthy. I don't know.
No, he played. He had like 4 carries.
Okay,
4 carries, 12 yards.
He probably should have had more carries. To be honest with you, but
listen,
the Eagles.
Yeah,
the Eagles just do a really good job playing defense. That front four they got is just
a problem.
It's hard to beat. But I will say, this was the game that Jalen Hurts said in the press conference. He's like, "Is that what y'all wanted to see? Is that
how y'all like that pass game?"
Right. Pre-game, we saw them huddled up, him, Devontae, and AJ Brown doing a prayer circle right before the game. Jalen saying inspiring words, whatever they were, before the game, and AJ did go off. Devontae went off. They did a really good job this balanced football game. Like, I think they said the Steelers only had the ball twice in the entire second half.
Second half. Was it the whole second half?
The whole second half. They had the ball twice.
Yeah.
They had the ball twice the entire second half.
And Saquon didn't even go off. He only had 65 yards.
Yeah. But they were the thing about beating the Steelers is once you get the lead on them, or you got, you can get the edge on them, you got to be able to stay alive on third downs. That's the key. 3 and outs are going to kill you against the Steelers. You can't give them extra possessions. And the Eagles did a really good job of creating third and shorts. They did the tush push a couple times, all that other stuff. Like, they did a really good job of just mixing it up. And then, of course, TJ Watt gets hurt during the game. Dante Jackson gets hurt, obviously, during the game. Deshaun Elliott gets hurt during the game. So they were banged up in the secondary there. Joey Porter Jr. didn't have a great game coverage-wise. He struggled a lot in that game. Hard
matchups out there.
It showed that Jalen, when he needs to, at least can turn it up. He can turn it up when he needs to. And I think a lot of this, AJ was complaining about passing and all that other stuff, is sometimes you got to do what you got to do to win that game. And maybe it doesn't mean throwing the ball 35 times a lot of times. Yeah. Sometimes the game calls for what it calls for. But the Eagles gave you the blueprint. It's like kind of like how you beat the Chiefs, right? Once you get up on the guys like the Steelers and teams like the Chiefs, you gotta be able. Now you play and keep away, but keep away to a point where you're still being aggressive, right? You're not playing. Oh, let's just hold the ball and for 5 minutes and then we punt it back. No, we gotta take 9-10 minutes off this clock every time we touch the ball. We gotta take 9-10 minutes off this clock. We got to get to a point where we're forcing them to now play one-dimensional or playing a part of a game where they're not comfortable with playing, where they're trying to play catch-up, where they're second-guessing themselves. They're like, they can't really focus on their game plan. So the Eagles gave him the template right there in that game. Behind, look, it was a solid enough running game. Jalen Hurts ran when he needed to. They got the catches from Goddard and AJ Brown. They utilized all their weapons.
And I think and Saquon, it seemed like he tweaked something at some point in that game, and he was actually on the sideline for quite a few drives.
In the second quarter.
And I think that kind of dictated the game plan also, because it was like, all right, Saquon's on the sideline for a few, and they gave him opportunity to, to get in that pass game bag. And once that got going, Gainwell got to eat a little bit on the ground too.
Gainwell, he was big.
He didn't have a lot of yards, but he had a lot of crucial runs that extended the play, extended drives. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this is what the Steelers team is. 13 points. I think this is honestly who they are if you play them the way you're supposed to play them. And like you said, the Eagles kind of had the blueprint. It didn't seem like a difficult blueprint whatsoever to execute. Honestly, I mean, I've had my opinions about the Steelers offense. Obviously, they're a different offense with George Pickens on the field, and I think him not playing, this is exactly who they are. I think with him playing, they have a little bit more opportunity to make things happen. And Russell Wilson, his bread and butter is the deep ball going down the field. And when he's not able to do that, you kind of get this result. I mean, when there's no threat of him throwing the ball downfield, and Mike Williams, unfortunately, does not provide the threat of him throwing downfield on a consistent basis, like they expected him to. But when George Pickens not on that field, I mean, he just doesn't have that same opportunity. And you kind of saw it. It's like they almost run out of answers after a while when they start, bringing in Fields and seeing if they can do something different. And that's how they're running out of answers. So I think this is who the Steelers' offense is without George Pickens on the field.
Yeah, we saw that last year. Like this is, and also he brings a certain intensity to that offense too. Kind of like he reminds me a lot like what Hines Ward used to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
He wasn't. He's obviously a bigger play threat than Hines Ward was. Hines Ward was more of that intermediate. He would get the 7-8 yard catches to stay alive on third down and stuff. But he was the physical receiver. He would punch guys. He would block guys into the ground. He did a little smile and stuff, that smirk and stuff afterwards, and cause guys to get personal foul penalties and stuff. But he was a real aggressor. And Pickens the same way. Like Pickens out here picking fights at everybody. Like on plays that he's not even involved in, he's over here picking fights with the safety. He's picking fights with the cornerback. It doesn't matter who it is, but he brings that aggression too. I think for that offense that's you can see is kind of lacking when he's not on the field.
Right.
And, now they're said he's already going to be out for this game with that hamstring. That makes 3 games. Is that 3 games now? I think he's been out.
Yeah, I think it was like the third game.
They said it was a 5 to 6 week injury. They said hamstrings can be 5 to 6 weeks. So, but yeah, I mean, they gave, like you said, I think when we look back at that Bengals game where they scored, 40 points? I think it was. Like you said, against a better quality defense, this is what they are. But what they do well is the defense gets turnovers. They, force turnovers. They make you kick field goals and all that kind of. They muddy the game up. You muddy the game up. But I think the thing is for, especially the Ravens going against them on Saturday, is playing their game. I think they said too many times, and they said on the radio, which I've been saying here on the show, John Harbaugh appeared like that coach from Waterboy, where when he sees the other coach on the sideline, he just kind of ducks and hides behind other players. Like he gets in his head. But
yeah.
So on to our favorite segment.
Oh yeah,
Bells and Pookies. So you can start today. Actually, you can start Bells and Pookies.
All right. Well, mine should be short and sweet. For Bells, I just have 2. Lamar Jackson. I mean, I know we played the Giants. I know the competition was low, but it's still the NFL. And anytime you get out there and you throw for 5 touchdown passes and you have only 4 incompletions and you got a passer rating of 150, whatever, you got to get the bell from me. I mean, the guy has been phenomenal this season. That was just a nice chef's kiss of a game. 34 TDs he's up to now, 3 interceptions. Neither of those 3 interceptions his fault, by the way. They're not going to tell you that in MVP votes whatsoever. And he has over 3,500. I think he's at 3,600 yards or something like that, or around that time, almost 3,600 yards. I'm not sure exactly what the number is. Just phenomenal game by Lamar and an incredible season he's had up until this point. And my second bell is, I wish I was giving it under different circumstances, but I was giving it to Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman, he showed out. Downfield threat. He's, trying to become more and more consistent in the deep game, deep down the field. And when Lamar called on him, he was able to answer that, and he got in the end zone. And it wasn't like wide open, it was wide open. He caught it, but he had to make moves to get into the end zone. So even just making moves after the play, he gets a bell out of me for that. So Lamar Jack and Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I'm give a bell for me to Deontay Walker getting a touchdown week 15. I know, for him being drafted, I think he had a lot of optimism about where he was going to be on this team. And then, we go into 15 weeks, and there's a lot of times for these rookies, like, am I going to play this year? Like, am I just going to be stuck on special teams? And, he answered the call. He got the touchdown, those are those kind of plays that keep you on the field. When you make plays like that, those are those kind of plays that keep you on the field. And shout out to Ted Walker. Derek Stingley Jr. from the Houston Texans got 2 picks in that game. Phenomenal picks. They showed the one. Did you see? He got the one pick by looking at the Titantron and then turning, or he saw the ball coming to him and turns around and catches it. I'm like, come on.
Crazy.
How do you do stuff like that?
I don't know, man. I just hope Brandon Stephens was watching.
He's like, you ain't look, man, like, great dog. Like, they spent millions of dollars on these screens, man. You ain't gotta look, look, but you can look at the screen right there in front of you. You can guard. You see, the ball come. Put your hand up. Do like that. Mm-hmm. Like Derek Stingley literally looks at the jumbotron and then turns around at the last second. Boom, catches it. So shout out to him. Josh Allen gets a bell from me. Look, I know I don't want him to win MVP, but he's making it very difficult for MVP voters to know. I mean, he is definitely on the tear right now. Considering, I think, at the beginning of the season, losing a lot of the offensive weapons they had. And Amari Cooper's not even really been playing that much. He's been hurt. And they're still doing what they're doing. So
he did nothing in the last game. Zero, nothing, yeah.
So I give a lot of credit to him. As well. And I'm trying to think, is that all I got for bells? And then, of course, Lamar Jackson. I'll give another bell to him just because, I think they said Aaron Rodgers made this comment and basically said that Lamar Jackson could break the record for best QBR with QB rating for the season. Mm-hmm. The season record for best QBR out on average.
He's averaging 120 right now.
Yeah, I don't like Aaron Rodgers, as outside of football, him and his comments and stuff that he's made. But when he came out and in support of, basically made the case for Lamar Jackson being MVP, saying like, are we just not gonna, like, I know everybody wants to be in awe of what Josh Allen's been doing, but I feel like Josh Allen does this every December. Like, he does this every December. He shows out, and then come January, it's whatever. But he does this. But what Lamar is doing as a quarterback, like you said, with the 3 picks not even being his fault. The fact that they've criticized Lamar for years, not holding the football well, fumbling the football, throwing picks. This man has cut that down by 70%. Like, I think even when his MVP year last year, he had over a dozen interceptions. He's got 3.
It's crazy.
So
super crazy.
Obviously, I think Lamar. I don't think Lamar's worried about the MVP right now. I think Lamar's worried about bigger things right now. I think he's like, and Lamar knows, like, look, he's not even 30 yet. Lamar he'll be up for MVP. I think as long as he's playing, Lamar will be up for MVP every single year. So it's whatever. I said what I would love to see is if Josh Allen wins MVP this year, then he has a Jokic kind of playoff run where where Embiid won the MVP, but Jokic ended up averaging like a triple double for the entire playoffs, including the championship.
What that year that Steve Nash won it over Kobe.
Yeah.
Whatever that season was.
Love to see that. Like, go show him. Go show him. So, and then on to our next segment, our Pookies. I'll let you start with the Pookies.
I have 2 Pookies. They're kind of similar. Jonathan Taylor going across the goal line, and he just dropped the ball. Literally, just dropped the ball before he scored. I don't know how players are still doing this. It's in 2024. We have so many examples of this happening. I think Kyle Pitts did it earlier this year, but I don't know if they caught it or not. But yeah, like take the ball with you, man. Take the ball with you into the end zone. Do whatever you want to do after the referees throw them hands up. And yeah, you're just getting a Pookey just for being negligent and irresponsible with the football. Right when you're about to score, and the games changed drastically after that. If we all caught that game, things did not go in their favor after that mishap. And also, a Bengals player did it. I think they had a turnover, I believe, and after he caught the interception and ran it back, I believe I can't remember if it was a fumble 6 or interception 6, but either way, it wasn't no 6 because he dropped the ball before he crossed the goal line. They still end up winning that game, but he's still getting a Pookey because if I'm gonna give it to JT, I gotta give it to him as well for doing the same exact thing. His team just happened to win. But those are my 2 Pookies for the week.
My Pookey, I got a couple. My Pookey, one of them goes to Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
First of all, a name like Woody Johnson is just diabolical.
Real quick, this might be a unanimous Pookey from everyone here. I think Corey had him. Travis called it before we started the show, and you have him on your list as well.
He with the news that came out today and reports about what's been happening in the Jets organization. And look, I think from outside, we all thought Aaron Rodgers was the main issue. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers wasn't even the main issue with this team. It was the ownership, him and his kids and his grandsons, apparently.
And their video games.
They were the main issues with this team. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers was very adamant about not making fast changes with getting rid of Robert Saleh, but Woody Johnson wanted to fire him anyway. When Ehrlich won, the interim head coach won his first game, Aaron Rodgers was getting ready to give him a game ball, and then his grandson comes in and gives Garrett Wilson that same game ball, and just made everything very awkward in the locker room. Apparently, he listens to his grandsons when picking players. He didn't sign Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden rating. Said he wouldn't sign certain defensive players if they had bad awareness ratings in Madden. This can't to the fact that it makes more sense because it's the Jets, right? Like if this was the Ravens or the Steelers or somebody else, like, oh, it might be genius because they have really good teams. They always seem to have good teams. Maybe there's something to that. But then when you look at the Jets and how bad they've been since Rex Ryan got fired, that was like the last time I think they've been to the playoffs. This might be worse than Jerry Jones. Woody Johnson might be the worst owner in the NFL. I thought it was Jerry Jones with how he meddles and things and the control stuff, whatever that may be. But Woody Johnson might legit be the worst owner in football. To run the team the way he's been running it, and basically making Aaron Rodgers look like the fall guy for all this, and meanwhile, lo and behold, it's been him and his family making these decisions, not knowing what they're doing. Like they said, these guys, they said they would come into the locker room. They said when Mike White was there last season, he came into the locker room and would tell him to his face, "You suck, like you're terrible," like all this stuff. Meanwhile, I think there was a reason why we saw those players wearing the Mike White t-shirts. Like that may have been more to that because they probably were supportive of Mike White and how well he was playing at the time, but Woody Johnson didn't like him. And they were supporting their guy because he's in the locker room with them. He goes out and plays with them. It's going to be very hard for the Jets to field the team next year. I'm sorry. With stuff like this coming out, I don't want to go play for the Jets.
I don't
if I'm over 30 years old and stuff, you know what, man? I might just retire. The Jets the only team left that I can go to. I might just sit this one out. That's one of my Pookies, man. Another Pookey goes to Jameis Winston. Got benched. 3 picks. Apparently, he was not delivered from his pick sixes. Apparently, that is still something he needs to pray about because it's still happening. Mm-hmm. So, I want to believe. I want to believe in Jameis. I do. I want to. He just can't get rid of these interceptions, man. Just head scratching.
Only good news is that this should be his last Pookey of the season.
It should be, right? Doriel Thomas, the guy with the three
Dorian
names.
Dorian Thompson.
Yeah,
Dorian something. I don't know, man.
yeah, he's starting. So he gets one. Another one goes to the Miami Dolphins. I'll say this right now. I think Mike McDaniel is done. He needs to be done as a head coach. He just needs to be done. I'm sorry. Like, it's just they can't win.
I didn't watch that game. I just kind of followed the stats. The stat line just for fantasy football purposes. And yeah, Tua got me 3 points.
Yeah,
somehow I still won my fantasy game, but no help from Tua.
We saw the first couple of years this offense was dynamic. You know, they had all the speed and everything else. And they still have a lot of the same players there this year, but it's just not there this year. It's just not there. And look, I don't know how much of that is just Tua, because, you know, they've always complained about his arm strength and getting the ball downfield, and Tyreek Hill, you know, not getting his yardage like he usually gets. And, you know, you got Jalen Waddle there. You know, they have all the pieces on offense you would think would be able to put up 30 points a game.
Yeah.
And this Texans defense is not that good. They should have been able to do it, and they didn't. In the AFC East, with the Bills continue to get better, the Jets are the Jets and the Patriots are the Patriots. Everybody thought that the Bills and the Dolphins were going to be duking it out for the AFC East, and the Bills ended up winning the division. Last week? I think they won the division last week, with like 4 games to go. So I think there'll be Adam Schefter already said that he anticipates there'll be several coaching job openings this offseason. There's going to be quite a lot, for sure. So, yeah. Is that it for Pookey? Think that's it? Think that's it for me?
Yeah. Wasn't too much of an egregious week of football.
No, Kirk Cousins. He has a Pookey too.
Well, he got it the last couple of weeks too. So
yeah,
I think he was on my list last week. So he was headed in this direction already.
Penix in there now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got the Travis got the Scully on.
Hey Travis, you might as well go ahead and give your Pookies, man.
Yeah, give your
Pookies. Oh, we on Pookies.
Yeah. We already gave ours. Right. We go ahead and if you need to double down on Woody Johnson, feel free. But do you think?
Oh man, all I gotta say is if you're making personnel decisions based upon Madden ratings,
that's
by all means consider selling your team. That had to be the most asinine thing I've ever heard of in my life. That's like worse than coaches taking Madden plays and putting it in their playbook. And you see like Jerry Jeudy blaming Ocho Cinco for not adjusting his Madden rating.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy's 5th in the league in receiving yards. Meanwhile, you have Devontae Adams having a breakout game 5 games after he got traded for. Garrett Wilson's not getting the ball as much as he used to. It's rough. Woody Johnson he's a piece of you know what. I mean, the Madden rating thing is just like the most viral thing. But overall, man, this man is awful. This man is awful. He shouldn't be an NFL owner. He definitely gets my Pookey. Who else did I have in there? I forgot what I sent to y'all. Who have y'all said so far?
You sent Woody Johnson.
Kirk Cousins. Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Oh, and I said Jonathan Taylor and that Bengals player that both dropped the ball before they scored touchdowns, fumbled in the end zone.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought like Bateman was gonna fumble when he stretched that ball out in the game on Sunday. But my Pookey is gonna go to the Ravens front office for how they handled Deontay Johnson this week. You know, it was rough trading for him, not playing him. You know, he was a jerk and all of that, but I wanted to go into the game. But then you put out that weak social media statement saying that you all have mutually agreed that he's going to take a week off. Mutually agreed that he's going to get involuntary PTO. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Either suspend him. You know, I don't know if they're trying to avoid dealing with the Players Association, Either suspend them, release them, figure it out, because this is bad PR when your team is trying to go down the stretch, make the playoffs first of all, then try to play for a Super Bowl. If you're not going to give the man, targets, if you're not going to play him, if we are done with them, be done with them. But stop with this little passive aggressive PR campaign that you're just going to go ahead and let him have some involuntary PTO. It's asinine. Asinine, asinine, asinine. Emphasis on the ass.
They hold them hostage. They want that comp pick, man.
Yeah. So
You know they'll do anything for a comp pick.
I was listening to the guys at Nitty Gritty, their show, I think earlier this week, and they made it basically sounds like what the Deontay was trying to. It sounded like Deontay was trying to work his way back to the Steelers. So apparently they weren't going to trade for him, but if the Ravens were to release him, then he could freely sign with anybody, and he could have with the Steelers wide receiver situation right now with Pickens. That'd have been a perfect situation for them. Deontay go right back, be a number one receiver. He knows the system and everything else. So it may be more of a situation where the Ravens are literally just not letting him go back to Pittsburgh.
hey, you might have to hold him hostage, man.
Yeah, like, and that's you get the pick, but they're not letting him go back to Pittsburgh right now. Like,
is it ethical? Maybe not, but
it's a shrewd move, very shrewd.
But that might be the only thing holding.
Why he's
keeping the Steelers out of your way, like you don't.
That would make sense for the weird statement they made. Yeah, he's gonna take a week off,
especially with all the motivation he would have to go straight to Pittsburgh, and then the first game they got to play us.
Yeah, I mean he played 3 snaps, I think, in that Steelers game. Let me see.
Yeah, I think it was 3 snaps.
11 snaps. He had 11 snaps.
Okay,
in that Steelers game. So especially he was going to look for opportunity in Baltimore to exact his revenge and keep the Steelers at least for 1 week not winning the division. So, but
they getting this comp pick, man. They don't care about nothing else.
They don't care about all that. So.
I don't know. Corey got a good point. They didn't ruin that man's his reputation. You know, he was looking hot for a free agent target.
Organization might know what it is, though. I think the Steelers will sign him back once he is done with us. I think he will go back to Pittsburgh, honestly, because I mean, I think that's really just a conversation. I mean, if he explains what his perspective of it, I don't think teams are going to shy away from it, because I think Deontay had a reason for doing whatever that he did. I think whatever him not going in the game, whatever that issue was about, I think there was an issue that was already ongoing. I can't see a player just not going into the game just because, just because I don't want to play. Like, something happened.
Yeah.
And he probably thought they were trying to play him on for some, what. But yeah, we'll see, man. But if that Steelers story is true, then I mean, because I already thought they were just doing it for the comp pick anyway. Yeah. But if you add that to the mix, it's like we got a couple reasons just to keep you locked up in here.
But so yeah, here we are, Saturday, 4:30. This is basically a playoff game. You don't want the Steelers to come into your house and win the division on your field. We know there's going to be plenty of Steelers fans there. It's going to be cold. I think the high is going to be like 30, but by the time the game starts, it's going to be in the 20s. So a cold game. This is the game you want, Ravens Steelers at this point in the season for the division. Now, I think they said, obviously, if the Steelers win, they win the division outright. And get that home game for the playoffs. If the Ravens win, the Ravens I think have to win out, and the Steelers got to lose. I think at least one more game. I think for the Ravens to take the division away and win that division. So Steelers could still win the whole thing, But the main thing I think is right now is that you've lost the last 9 of 10 matchups against the Steelers. And you got to stop this trend. You got to stop this. And I think Dan Orlovsky said this too on First Take. I can't consider the Ravens a serious playoff contender if they can't beat the Steelers at home. I'm sorry. Like if we can't beat Pittsburgh at home, like we've mentally checked. We just don't. We're not there mentally. We're just not there. And with teams like the Chiefs and the Bills. Especially what the Chiefs are going to be like when they hit playoff mode, like the Ravens need to lock in, like for real, like lock in mode. Now they said apparently Monken was out there practice and they were like, looked real good in practice. Monken was, out there with them, like running stuff, and looked very enthusiastic, and they were, excited, and they felt pumped up about the game and stuff. A lot of reporters saying that there's a different kind of atmosphere in the air for this game. So we'll see how that pans out. Now we look at the injury report right now, and so Aguilar did not practice with a concussion. They said I think if he passes protocol tomorrow, then he can play on Saturday. So there's still potential that he could play. But Bateman was also spotted today in a boot, which is not good, especially with him and his lingering foot issues that he has. He's questionable. We'll see. I don't know if he'll play or not. Don't know how bad it is. Falele is questionable. They said he may not play. We'll see, which may be a blessing in disguise. Who else? Okay. Obviously, Deontay Johnson is not participating. Sanusi Kane was a full participant. He did practice. Adafe always got an ankle. He's questionable as well. TJ Tampa was officially activated. Right? Officially activated today. So he passed the 21-day practice window. Looks like with the injury to Jalen Armour-Davis, that he was probably going to get some time on Saturday. So we'll see how that pans out. And then for the Steelers side, Deshaun Elliott he was a limited participant, but he's doubtful to play. Fields is out. Dante Jackson is questionable, but they still think
Fields is out?
Fields is out. Mm-hmm. They already said he's out. Yeah, he's out.
Some with his stomach.
Yeah.
Oh man. That's actually big news.
Yeah, they can't go to those gadget plays like they did in the first game.
On those gotta have it, third down, short yardage.
Right. I don't know who that practice squad or whoever third string guy is, but
whoever it is, they're not coming in the game.
Yeah. Dante Jackson is questionable, but apparently signs are going to point that he's not going to play. Ogunjobi is dealing with a groin issue. And look, I've had groin injuries before. They're not fun. Like it's one of those things. I think TJ Watt the last couple of years has had groin injuries. And those are those kind of injuries that it's like they just linger. And it's just like with a guy that big, if he does play, I'm telling them, Derrick Henry and them, run right at him. Just run right at him. Get him, dodge every which way. They dodge every which way in that game. And obviously Pickens is out. And TJ Watt is going to play, still suffering from an ankle sprain, whatever that may be. I don't know how effective he's going to be in the game. He said he's going to play. But considering how he got hurt in that Chiefs game, was that the Chiefs game? Eagles game. Considering how he got hurt in that Eagles game, it was a non-contact injury. He was really trying to run around the tackle, and I guess he rolled his ankle. He stepped on it wrong. So could provide an issue. The game also being as cold as it's going to be. Anybody with any kind of muscle issues and stuff like that, it's going to get real. They got to have those like warmers and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be to try to loosen up those injuries, so it could spell some issues for them. So, but what do you guys think? What are the keys to this game? Obviously with the cold, Ravens are playing at home. They had to get right game against the Giants. What do they got to do to win this football?
They need to show up to this game not being scared of the Steelers. I mean, whatever their approach was the last time we played them, it needs not to be that same approach. And that's just the bottom line. Like, for some reason, I don't know why the Steelers have transformed into this team's Achilles heel. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But in this game specifically, the fact that they don't have George Pickens playing in this game, I think they need to capitalize on that. I mean, they shouldn't be too threatened by a pass game with George Pickens not being on the field. So I think as long as you keep Najee in check, keep Jalen Warren in check defensively, and just make sure, receivers aren't running by you, I think we'll be okay defensively. But I think, number one thing defensively is getting pressure on Russell. I mean, when he does drop back, we just cannot let him do anything. I think the best bet is to try to keep him contained in the pocket or try to force him out the pocket, either one, just because his athletic ability seems like it diminishes week to week. I mean, he can't do nothing, on the run for the most part, but we can't allow him to make plays, and we don't want to have our DBs back there, trying to cover receivers for over 5 seconds. Like it's just going to generate a whole bunch of penalties. We've been crushed with penalties these last few weeks. This Giants game, even though we dominated, we had a ton of penalties again, and we just can't have that. Brandon Stevens, find the football, play the man, find the football, get a stop. Like we cannot have that type of defense, 1-on-1 with receivers where you just don't know where the football is. It's just bad ball, and we just can't have it. So I think we need to make adjustments there. But offensively, we got to be ourselves. Like we have to show up with the identity that we have. Like we need to run the football and use play action pass, use these screens that we saw last week with Justice Hill. Keep Derrick Henry on the field when there's, short yard when it's third down and, it could be a passing or running down. We need to keep the Steelers guessing, because when we make it predictable for them, that's when they just completely stump our offense. And this is just not a game. I mean, it's a home game. It's going to be cold. Run the football. Use Derrick Henry. I'm not sure if Ali's activated for this game as well. But Justice Hill, Derrick Henry, get a third back involved if we need to. If it's not working for the first two guys, but we just we gotta run the ball effectively. And the fact that Rashad Bateman may or may not go in this game, the better our run game is going to be, the better. The better we run the ball, the better the outcome is going to be. It's not a game where Lamar needs to be throwing, 35 times a game in a game. I think if we run the ball and maybe try to hit them with some play action, I think that'll kind of serve us better. And I think their DB, you said Dante Jackson is out, right? And Deshaun Elliott might be out as well. I mean, maybe it is a opportunity to get some pass game going, but I think primarily just make sure you run the football, run away. Well, I'm not concerned with the run game, but if we're going to pass the ball, we got to make sure we know what TJ Watt is on the field at all times. We cannot allow him to wreck the game like he always does. He's a little injured, so maybe he'll be gimpy in his game. I don't know how much he'll hold up, but we got to have a game plan for him anyway. So I think we just got to play Ravens football. Lamar got to play Lamar ball, and we got to show up to this game being who we are and not show up to this game just because of the Steelers and everything goes out the window and we just don't know what to do. So we just got to pretty much knock all of those things out with that game plan, and coaches just got to be on it, man. Coaches just got to be on it. I hope they use that tape from the first time we played them. I hope they watch every other Steelers game Steelers have played this season and just saw every angle that they could possibly come at us with. And we just got to make the most of it. They got to get on a in this game. I want to see the best game plan of the year against the Steelers, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere. There'll be a lot of Steelers fans there. We gotta get them to lead that game early. I want to see that game all. I want to see that stadium all purple by the time they're halfway through the fourth quarter. I want them Steelers fans walking out, and that's what it's going to take, man. Run the ball.
Yeah, I feel like the Steelers defense can be had, and I think even more so with guys back banged up. With Watt in his ankle, Dante Jackson possibly not playing, Deshaun Elliott not playing. They're banged up on defense. And if TJ Watt plays, thinking about that bad ankle, what's the best way to neutralize a special elite pass rusher is wasted energy. We're talking about screens behind the pass rush. Corey called it out. Some draws, misdirection. Have that man running without making a play, whether it's running away from him, like, running a tight end screen behind him. Like, there's just so much we can do to allow him to waste energy. And if you waste energy on a lot of these, design runs, Corey, if you waste energy early and often, when you're ready to settle down and throw from the pocket, he's not going to be as effective. He's going to be tired. So wasted energy is a big key offensively. I'm not scared by much else on the Pittsburgh defense outside of Minka. But TJ Watt he's a scary man.
Problem.
But we have to figure out ways to wear him down without him making an impact on the play. So that's what I think from that standpoint. But I think when you're thinking about us imposing our will offensively, it's all about rhythm. We have to get into a rhythm. So while we're doing these things to neutralize TJ Watt, we have to have a rhythm to our offense. We saw it at times in the Giants game where it was just hot. We just knew what we wanted to do. We got Lamar getting the ball out of his hands. I mean, the only really bad thing we can say is like, we didn't have explosive plays in the run game from from Derrick Henry. And we had that fumble by Lamar. But outside of that, we had a rhythm. We were throwing the ball. And, Miles always says, like, Lamar is at his best when he's allowed to be in rhythm, make high-efficiency throws from the pocket. Not high volume, not a high-volume amount of throws, but high-efficient throws from the pocket. That's where he's at his best. And we saw it in the Giants game. What was he, 17 of 19? 200 plus
21 of
yards,
21 to 25.
Oh,
he had more touchdowns
I forgot.
than he had incompletions.
I stopped watching after a certain point.
He had 295 TDs.
Yeah, I kind of tuned out after a certain point because it was a done deal. Yeah. I didn't want to do more penalties, but high efficiency, under 30 passes, a high completion percentage. But they were high efficiency throws. You saw Zay on the comeback routes. You saw Zay on some quick slants. But then you saw the big chunk plays, the Bateman. You saw Tez Walker. Like, that's where this offense excels. It's just getting in a rhythm and take your plays where you can. So, I think that's got to be the focus offensively. We need the offensive line to step up this game.
Trenches.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We have to get my man Derrick Henry going. He has to be able to make some plays. We need to see the pitch be effective. We need to see him run up the middle, run off tackle. We need to see that. We can't see Makari whiffing on blocks, Faleo whiffing on blocks, or him running forward, looking lost, not knowing what's going on. We can't afford penalties backing us up. Like, the offensive line really has to play their best game they have this season this week. It's a lot on the line. You got the playoff. You got the division. We got momentum going into Christmas Day. So they have to play their best game. Defensively, what needs to happen, you've already said it. We need to get after Russell Wilson. We need the pass rushers to step up. Owe has been at 8 sacks for about 5 weeks now. Kyle Van Noy has slowed down. We need Mods to step up. We need to put pressure on Russell Wilson because he will fold. The one thing I've noticed watching quarterbacks, and I think I've been super analytical about quarterbacks this year, is the quarterbacks in this league, with the exception of about 4, they completely fold under pressure, like completely fold. And Russell Wilson is one of those. If you get pressure, he's either going to go down or he's going to make an asinine play. So we got to get pressure on him. He's down his big play target in George Pickens. He's probably going to be getting the ball out in the flats to Jalen Warren, over the middle with Freiermuth. And then he's probably going to try to work it to Calvin Austin. So that's what he's going to do, but he's missing his big play threat. So we have to play sound ball. We have to play smart ball. We have to turn around and see the ball, aka Brandon Stevens. So that's what it's going to have to be defensively. I think we've come a long way. We've gone from the worst defense in the league to now middle of the pack defense over the course of this year. We've gotten a lot better against the pass. But this is the game where we really have to set the tone. And I think physicality is going to be the key defensively. And it starts up front with our edge rushers in the middle of that line. Special teams, look, Justice Hill needs to have the ball in his hands as much as possible. He needs to be back there on kick returns. He needs to be back there on punt returns. He's effective offensively. He needs the ball in his hands. And I think he can make a big play. I hope this game doesn't come down to Justin Tucker because I still don't trust that man. And I don't think we saw him really at all last week. Much. And, we put Stout as our kickoff guy, it looks like now. So I hope this doesn't come down to kicking field goals because that scares me.
Yeah.
Honestly, scares me. But if it does, Justin Tucker, he's going to have to nail it. Pittsburgh. No, it's not Pittsburgh. It's here. Even here, it's been a little struggle this year for him. But, if it comes down to it, he's going to have to make those plays. So.
No, yeah, it's Lamar, like I said, 21 to 25 last week. He threw more touchdowns and incompletions, and like I said, he was super confident when he threw the football, wasn't hesitating at all. He knew where he was going with the ball. So I'm hoping that's what we see this week on offense. I think what the Ravens need to do, like Corey said, I think in the comments, is they needed to play a little bit looser, right? Utilize everybody you got. Like you said, we saw the Eagles last week when Saquon was dealing with whatever he was dealing with for a quarter or two, and they put Gainwell in there, and he was getting 5 or 6 yards of carry. And you got Smith involved. They got AJ Brown. You got Goddard involved. Like Jalen Hurts was running the football. You got to do what you got to do against the Steelers. Now, I will say on defense, too, Michael Pierce will be playing in this game. He did not play in that last Steelers game. So with him, Travis Jones, and Matabike in that interior, that defensive line, I don't really expect the Steelers to run the ball effectively at all in that game. Like I put up earlier, Corey said that Monken was really, being, pretty much at him on offense, being real like stringent about ball security, because you already know with especially TJ Watt and the rest of these Steelers defense, they practice this and they preach this, kind of what the Ravens used to do in the early 2000s. They preach like if you get you tackle somebody, you should at least be trying to get the football out every time. Every time you get in contact with a football player, with the guy running the ball, try to punch that football out. And TJ Watt has now made that like an art form this year. It's like he's every time they show a replay of him, like he's doing that punch and all he's hitting is football, like every time. So TJ Watt and them are going to be doing that in this game for sure. I'm not sure the O-line structure is going to look like, obviously with Falele being injured. Not sure what that's going to look like. I'm pretty sure they gotten that figured out at this point. Like to see more Tez Walker in this game. I think he's going to be the X factor for sure, because they don't really have film on him. You got one play. You got one play with him catching the football, really, in that Giants game. The Steelers don't really have anything on him. He's going to really be an X factor for the Ravens in this game. If you add another deep ball catcher, if you got Bateman, if Bateman plays, Bateman, Tez Walker, and Zay, that's going to really hurt the Steelers, considering Elliott's out and considering that Elliott and Dante and Jackson is out as well. So that's going to be key for the Ravens too. Like Corey said, getting Rasheen, getting another running back in there. Like it can't just be. It feels like they don't use Justice Hill as another running back, right? He's literally there for pass protection, and he goes out there for screen plays. Like that's pretty much what he does. He doesn't really run the football. So whenever he's on the field, it's like the Steelers kind of already know what they're going to do. Having Ali out there, or even having Keaton Mitchell out there, is going to at least provide them a different kind of look, at least, and give Derrick Henry a little bit of a spell every now and then. Because if you want to go into the playoffs and win the next 4 games, you got 2 more games coming up after this, and then you got the playoffs. You're gonna need to preserve Derrick Henry, go into the playoffs. So I think getting Ali or getting Keaton Mitchell more of the ball definitely going to help as well. Now, Adafe always dealing with the injury. I'm not sure if he's going to play. Right now, signs point to him not playing. So that means Adisa Isaac is going to be taking that role, and probably Ajabo as well. So pass rush is really going to have to come from the linebackers, to be honest. It's going to come from the linebackers. I think they said you're going to see, like Corey said, it sounds like Trenton Simpson's kind of been relegated to special teams now. Like he's barely getting any snaps on defense now at this point. It's been Chris Board and Malik Harrison. And, for this kind of game, with how physical the Steelers play, that may be a better fit, honestly, for this game, for Chris Board and Malik Harrison playing. And the only thing that I think would put this over the top for me were if they had the free safety situation figured out. So Kyle Hamilton play his spot on the field. I agree. I get it. The middle of the field has been a lot better. A lot of teams haven't attacked the middle of the field because of our Darius Washington and the way Kyle Hamilton have been playing. But taking Kyle away from the box area has really hurt this defense as far as getting pass rush plays, because that's what he used to do. He was really good at stopping those screen plays, any of those like toss plays to the outside and rushing the quarterback. I feel like that's gone away with Kyle Hamilton playing free safety now, playing back part of the secondary. Like, you don't have that guy now. You don't have that guy. And now look, Tampa's going to be playing in this game. Maybe Tampa provides that extra cornerback they need. Maybe he does more of those cornerback blitzes in this game. I don't know. We'll see. See how that pans out. But at the end of the day, I think the Ravens when they played the Steelers or the last few times, I think Lamar, the last time he played the Steelers was outside of this game, early this season was like 2021, because between injuries and stuff that happened, whatever. Lamar, he hasn't played him all that much. Lamar has got to play, just be himself. If he plays like he did against the Giants, I think the Ravens win. They got to play loose. The problem is, like Corey said, the Ravens, when they play Steelers, they play too tight. They play the way they call plays in the game is they're calling plays to not lose the football game instead of trying to win. They're playing not to lose. And they're not being aggressive enough, and let's not do that, let's not do this and stuff. Get likely the ball more. Like you said, tight end screens. Get him involved. Get the ball in his hands in open space. Like when you got guys like Patrick Queen who can't do pass coverage, I expect Mark Andrews and likely to go off. Like, work the middle of the field. Like that should be evident. That should be evident in this game. But it's all, look, I'm sad it has to be like this, because I look at teams like the Bills, and I look at teams like the Eagles, right, where we've seen bad QB play, but they've still been able to win football games. The Chiefs too. We've seen bad QB play, but they're still winning football games. They built the team in a way where it's like even our quarterback can have an off day, and we can still find ways to win the football game. The sad part about the Ravens is that Lamar has to be 100% every time for the Ravens to win. I don't think I've seen a game yet where Lamar's had a bad game and the Ravens have still won. Like, Lamar has to be Superman. Like, nothing else matters. Like I said, the fact that the Ravens don't take the ball away, we haven't seen a lot of explosive plays in the running game in the last few weeks. They're not getting the sacks on defense that they need to get, and the penalties are killing this offense. It kind of messes up how you want to win these football games. So the Ravens kind of have to change how they play football. This is the start. So, all right, before we get out of here, what's your scores? What we got?
Ravens win this one. I'm going 27. I'm going 27-16. Ravens 27-16. I think we win this one. I think I'm giving them a little bit more of a lead just because of Pickens being out. I think that matters.
I have a lower scoring game. I think we're going to end up winning this one 20-13. I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a slugfest. I think there are a couple plays that we leave out there on defense, but not too much. I think we play physical. I think we give Russell a hard time most of the game. And I think offensively we kind of just control the clock. I don't think we're going to be explosive, but I think we'll be efficient. So I think it's going to come down to us just really having a long drive in the fourth quarter, put this thing away, and then stop them on defense. So I'm going 20-13.
I'm going to pick a score of 24-13 Steelers for this game. For the simple fact is, Ravens have lost the last 9 of 10 games. Tomlin is a better head coach than John Harbaugh is. This point in the season, this is where Tomlin makes his money a lot. And until the Ravens do it, I just can't. Like, it's like the Ravens for time to time, even though the cards are falling their way, TJ Watt is not 100%. Pickens isn't playing. Several of their best players in the secondary are hurt. And still, we've seen stuff like this happen before with the Ravens and Steelers, and still the Ravens can't find ways to win these football games. I have yet to see a game where all three phases for this Ravens team have been effective all season. You know, like it would be nice to see a game where all three phases come together. Like we see the first half of the season, the offense was really good, defense sucked. Then the last few games, the offense sucked, but defense was really good. It'd be nice for them to put it all together. But again, Harbaugh's the head coach, and they can have a game plan all they want. Well, we've seen the last 10 matchups now. They can have a game plan all they want, but time and time again, somehow the Steelers find a way to get the Ravens off their game plan. And then the Ravens just fold into themselves. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. But I think it's a 9-point game. I think it is close, but I think it's one of those at the end of the game where the Ravens defense needs to get a stop and the Steelers are up by like 3, but then they score like a touchdown and Tomlin misses like a 2-point conversion or something. But it's not enough. It's still enough time left on the clock where the Ravens could make a comeback, but they don't, kind of thing, But that kind of stuff happens. So until they do it, till they pull it out. Pause.
Wow.
Until they do it. I'm not. I can't. I can't pick them to win this game. So.
All right.
But I'm hoping for a good. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm just trying to get my hopes up. I don't want to get myself all like we gonna win this football game and then I'm down.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Stressful, man. I get it.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. I'm up for this game, and we're gonna pull it out. So I'm counting on my team to get the victory.
Yeah. So
I don't have nothing to say. I don't have a follow up. That's what y'all waiting on.
I got more. I can keep going.
Also, shout out to Travis Hunter for winning Heisman and all the awards he won this past weekend. So shout out to him. First dual position player, 2-position player since Charles Woodson to win the Heisman. So, but they did say the difference with Travis Hunter is that with a lot of guys that have played multiple positions in college at the same time, like they were always like really good at one, but like okay at the other. Travis Hunter has been elite at both cornerback and at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So he could be an interesting prospect come the draft in April. So shout out to him and his pending nuptials. I'm not gonna wish ill on that man and everything else that's come out. If you haven't watched Mace and Cameron's podcast, please watch that. Cameron is hilarious.
Yeah.
Please watch that. Please watch that. He talks about that at length. So, but that's it from us, and we'll catch you guys later. Hopefully, Ravens pull it out. Catch y'all later.
Peace.